Good morning, everybody. Happy Art Day. Today I'm having another watercolor painting that I'm showing you. It's one of the commissions that I got and mentioned in May, I think, on my vlog, in case you watch those videos. It's a portrait, or a double portrait, better said, of a father and a son, and I chose watercolor because that was asked of me to work with, but I mean, I chose the watercolor pencils by Faber-Castell called Albrecht Dürer because they have a wonderful natural kind of palette in the watercolor pencils. I love them a lot. I love the colors that Faber-Castell produces, and I think they work perfectly for portraits. I did do my line work on my Wacom tablet beforehand and then transferred it with graphite paper, yellow graphite paper, to my watercolor paper because I don't want to erase anything on my watercolor paper, and that just, well, screws up the texture of the paper. I think I don't like it, so I'm working with transferring my line work on that. So I'm pretty much just laying down color here. The main colors, of course, skin tones, but there's a lot of green in this picture because the client who ordered or commissioned that painting really likes green, and the reference photo he happened to send me of his dad, well, he in that photo the dad happens to wear a green shirt, so I thought, okay, I'm definitely gonna use green as my main color here. You're gonna also see that in the background later on, but I went for very cool, almost petrol kind of greens, very cool greens for the shirts, and that's something I don't do very often. Usually I use warm colors in the foreground and cool colors in the background, but this time around, well, I had to adjust that a little bit. So the cool colors also came into the foreground, into the focal point, which is the two guys standing next to each other on like a rocky hill. I didn't outline the background. I'm just gonna paint that in later on, freestyling it. But I needed to have line work for the portrait, of course. So I just went with all the colors that I had to lay down for the dad. It's not the only layer that I'm going to put on, but that's like the first layer, and now I'm just using my water brush to, well, liquefy the pigment and make it look as pretty as I can. The watercolor pencils, the Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils, work in a very lovely way depending on how much water you put on them, and with those barrel brushes I can restrain the water flow a lot. They don't move everywhere on the painting. They pretty much stay put. You can move the pigment quite a bit here and there, of course. I mean, they're watercolor pencils. Watercolor is supposed to flow, but it's quite controllable, and I like that a lot about those pencils. So I use them whenever I need to paint in a way where I can control my medium, though it is one of the supplies that, well, you're not supposed to control that much, but still I can well, control where everything goes. In between, I did dry off my painting with my blow dryer. I cut all of these pieces because, well, that's just boring to watch. But I had just dried off my painting, and now I'm going in with a second layer, shading things, adding a little more of darker greens and blues to the shirt, mainly to not make it look so flat, but give it a little bit of texture and oomph, and well, just adjust my contrasts there, and put in a little shadow and such. So it's like with any watercolor medium, those colors are way lighter when you have them dried, so they look really very dark and brilliant in comparison when they're wet, but they are a little lighter when you have them dried. So I'm adding darker colors where I think I need them, just to, well, not make this look too flat and pastel light, but, well, have the brilliance come through those colors. And then I went on to the second person, again starting with the same skin tones. I mean, they're related, they're father and son, so, well, they have the same skin tone. And I just went in and well, laid down pigment for the face and neck, skin tones again. I should have maybe not drawn in the glasses at this point. I had a little trouble with the black pigment mixing with the skin tones. But well, that's just what happens. In about a month, another painting's gonna come up on this channel, also commission, but it's mother and son. And there I learned from my mistake of the glasses being drawn in too early. I mean, I knew, but I was kind of just like in the painting flow, and I totally forgot that I needed to have my skin tones in first, have that dried, and then put the glasses on top. So I have to work a little harder on his face once I go over everything with my brush, to not have him look gray, but give him Caucasian skin. And I'm just, again, going in with my water brush, going over everything. I didn't really paint the eyes with watercolor. I laid down brown pigment for that, but like all the details and such, I'm gonna add later on with ink. Because, well, this is quite tiny, and it's way easier and way more controllable for me to use an ink pen to paint in the eyes, and use a gel pen for the reflection in the eyes and such. So that was something I decided I'm not gonna use watercolors for, because, well, you can make stuff harder on you than it's supposed to be, or that it could be, and depending on the size of your painting and what you're painting, it sometimes works really well just using one medium, and sometimes it's just a pain in the butt. So I decided not to have the pain in the butt happening, but use ink pens for the eyes just to make it a little easier. So again, I used a little bit of a different kind of blue for his jeans. I wanted to have a bit of a difference, but have them look similar-ish. So I chose to give him blue jeans as well. But there's a little bit of a warmer hue or a warmer shade to his pants. You can see they're way warmer than the dad's pants, where I really just used a very cool light blue. But in the end, it all fits together, I think. So I guess that's very lovely. And once I had that down and, well, shaded and everything, I went for the background, and I switched from the Albrecht Dürer pencils to my Schminke Akademie watercolors, because I wanted to have a little more of a flowy feeling for the background. And what I had said earlier, with the watercolor pencils being quite controllable with water flow and where color goes, I didn't want to have that for the background, so I went with my watercolor pans here, and used a bigger brush also to, well, have a little more of a flowy, that typical kind of watercolor look. I started with blues and grays for the stones, so for the rocks, and then I put in a little green in between for grassy bits, so they're on a hillside leaning against one of those stones and, well, enjoying time together, I guess. Oopsie. So yeah, that is freestyled here. That scenery didn't come with the reference photo. That's just what I made of it, and I used quite the yellow green here, but I cooled it down with blue so that it's not as warm looking, because again, I do have a lot of cool greens in the shirt, so with a focal point, and I didn't want to have the very warm olivey green in the background, just a hint of it, but have it toned down with my dark blue. Again, indigo is my favorite shading color. I say that so often in videos. I think it's every video that is regarding artwork. I'm mentioning that it is my favorite color to shade with. So you can see I was able to cool down that green quite a bit. I went over the pans one more time just to get a little bit more contrast and a little more definition. Same with the face and the hand, shading a little more, not have everything look too flat, but have a little bit of difference. And then I just painted in a tiny little bit of a blue sky just to pick up that blue pigment from the pants again, make it all fit together, and then pretty much I was done. So this is my video for today. I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna see you again in 2 weeks with a new painting, and I hope you have an artsy day. Take good care, have fun, and I'm gonna see you soon. Bye.